What if the key to healing a lifetime of misunderstanding between a mother and daughter lay hidden in the forgotten echoes of the past? A past where love, rebellion, and vibrant dreams collided against the rigid rules of tradition. In Fawzia Mirza's The Queen of My Dreams, we are invited into a world where memory and identity weave together across time, challenging the boundaries between generations. This film is not simply a coming-of-age story or a tale of cultural heritage. It is a delicate, emotional exploration of the ties that bind women across eras, revealing both the warmth and the pain of familial bonds. At its heart, the narrative follows Azra, a young Pakistani-Canadian woman grappling with the weight of her immigrant upbringing and the expectations imposed upon her by a world that often seems too rigid for her dreams. As Azra journeys back to her ancestral home following a family tragedy, the film unfolds in three distinct yet interconnected time periods, offering us snapshots of a life lived in parallel lines of grief, rebellion, and love. The film's structure is as layered as the lives it portrays. It navigates between three different eras: the present-day narrative of Azra in 1999 Toronto, flashbacks to her mother Mariam's youth in 1969 Karachi, and a poignant glimpse into Azra's own childhood in 1989 Nova Scotia. This trifurcated timeline is both a strength and a challenge for the film. On one hand, it provides us with a multifaceted look at the experiences that shape these characters, each period illuminating a different facet of cultural identity, generational conflict, and personal transformation. On the other hand, the transitions can feel abrupt, leaving the audience grasping for a deeper connection between the memories and the present. Yet, it is precisely this fragmented narrative that underscores the film's central theme: the way in which past and present are inextricably linked, even when we struggle to reconcile them. At the center of this narrative are two women whose lives, despite spanning decades, are bound by a shared sense of isolation and longing. Azra is a young woman at the crossroads of her identity, living in Toronto with her girlfriend and clinging to the remnants of her cultural heritage. She is both determined and vulnerable, a budding actress who finds solace in the magic of Bollywood cinema. Her passion for films like the 1969 classic Aradhana is not just a nod to nostalgia, but a lifeline to a culture that feels increasingly distant in a new land. Azra's journey is one of self-discovery, her quest to understand the roots of her mother's beliefs, and in doing so, reconcile them with her own experience of queerness, is both heart-wrenching and inspiring. Mariam, on the other hand, is a figure of contradiction. In the flashback set in 1969, we see a younger version of Mariam who embodies the free-spirited energy of a bygone era. In this vibrant portrayal, Mariam challenges the patriarchal constraints of her time, daring to dream of a life beyond the narrow confines imposed upon her. However, as the film shifts back to the present, we witness a transformation. The once rebellious young woman has become a conservative immigrant mother, firmly entrenched in the customs and expectations of her adopted home. This metamorphosis is rendered with subtlety and nuance, as the film hints at the sacrifices and heartbreak that have contributed to Mariam's hardened exterior. By the way, the casting of Amrit Kaur in both roles is a masterstroke. Her seamless portrayal of both Azra and the younger Mariam blurs the lines between mother and daughter, subtly reinforcing the idea that they are more alike than they realize. One of the film's most compelling aspects is its exploration of love in its many forms. The Queen of My Dreams is not a conventional love story. It is a meditation on the complexities of familial and romantic love set against a backdrop of cultural and generational divides. The film's title itself is a reference to the timeless 1969 Bollywood classic Aradhana, whose song Meri Sapno Kirani becomes a recurring motif throughout the narrative. This song, and the cinematic homage it inspires, serves as a bridge between the characters' internal worlds and the broader cultural landscape they inhabit. For Azra, the film is a journey toward understanding the unspoken love and sorrow embedded in her family history. When her father, Hassan, dies suddenly during a visit to Karachi, Azra is thrust into a world where the rituals of mourning feel both alien and oppressive. The pain of loss is compounded by the realization that the customs she once found distant are now inescapably personal. In her grief, Azra embarks on a quest, not only to honor her father's memory, but also to uncover the story of her mother's transformation, a story that unfolds in flashes of color, memory, and music. Mariam's love story with Hassan is depicted with a tenderness that borders on mythic. In the flashbacks, we see the blossoming romance between a daring young Mariam and a charismatic Hassan, a love that is vibrant and full of promise. Hassan captures the magnetic allure of a bygone era, his performance reminiscent of classic Bollywood heroes whose charm and poise continue to captivate audiences. Their relationship is both a celebration of youthful passion and a bittersweet reminder of what is lost over time. As the film shifts back to the present, the echoes of this past romance resonate in Mariam's grief, a grief that is as palpable as it is transformative. Through these dual narratives of love and loss, the film invites us to reflect on how our histories shape who we are and how we learn to love. At its core, The Queen of My Dreams is a film about cultural collision and the pain and beauty that arises from it. The narrative deftly explores the immigrant experience, illustrating how the weight of tradition can both nurture and constrain. For first-generation immigrants like Mariam, the customs of their homeland provide a sense of identity and continuity, even as they struggle to adapt to a new world. Yet, for Azra, these very traditions often feel like shackles that limit her expression of self, particularly in light of her queer identity. This tension is vividly portrayed through the film's contrasting visual palettes. The scenes set in 1969, Karachi are awash with bright, vivid colors, a visual celebration of a time when life was seen as a series of bold, unapologetic choices. In stark contrast, the sequences filmed in 1989 Nova Scotia are imbued with a cool, almost clinical tone, mirroring the isolation and uncertainty that Azra experiences as she navigates her early years. This deliberate use of color not only accentuates the cultural divide, but also serves as a visual metaphor for the internal conflicts that define the immigrant experience. The clash between the vibrant traditions of the past and the muted realities of the present. The film also delves into the gendered dynamics that are often at the heart of diasporic narratives. Mariam's strict adherence to Islamic and heteronormative expectations creates an invisible wall between her and her daughter. While Azra seeks to embrace her queerness and forge her own identity, she finds herself at odds with a mother who clings to the rituals and customs of a bygone era. This generational conflict is not portrayed as a simple binary of right and wrong. Rather, it is rendered with empathy and complexity, inviting the audience to consider the myriad ways in which love, duty, and tradition intersect. Ultimately, The Queen of My Dreams challenges us to question whether the pain of misunderstanding can ever be fully healed, or if it is simply an intrinsic part of the immigrant experience. Beyond its narrative and thematic ambitions, the film stands out for its striking visual style. The frequent use of montage-style jump cuts and recurring visual motifs lends the film an almost dreamlike quality, where moments of stark reality are interspersed with flashes of cultural nostalgia. Whether it is a scene in which Azra eagerly shares her favorite Bollywood classic with her girlfriend, or a memory of a carefree young Mariam challenging societal norms, the visuals are crafted to evoke a sense of longing and possibility. The decision to shoot on location adds an extra layer of authenticity to the film. In 1969, Karachi, the camera captures the city's architectural relics, buildings that have stood as silent witnesses to decades of change, imbuing the flashbacks with a tangible sense of history. Similarly, the settings in Toronto and Nova Scotia are rendered with a keen eye for detail, reflecting the lived experiences of a diaspora that spans continents. This commitment to location shooting not only enhances the film's realism, but also underscores the centrality of place in the characters' identities. For Azra and Mariam, their physical environments are as much a part of their stories as the relationships they forge, reminding us that home is both a memory and a reality. More than anything, The Queen of My Dreams is an invitation, a conversation starter that seeks to bridge the gap between generations. It is not content with offering neat resolutions or clear answers. Instead, it presents us with snapshots of lives lived in parallel, hinting at the possibility of understanding even in the midst of pain. In one of its most compelling moments, the film captures a scene of quiet reconciliation, a moment when the lines between past and present blur, and the unspoken love between mother and daughter is laid bare. Though the narrative does not provide a tidy conclusion, it leaves us with the comforting notion that unity, however fleeting, is possible even in the midst of generational strife. In a world where the immigrant experience is often reduced to simplistic tropes, The Queen of My Dreams stands out for its refusal to offer easy answers. Instead, it challenges us to see the complexities of love and loss, to recognize that the differences between us and our parents are not insurmountable barriers, but rather points of connection waiting to be discovered. It is a film that speaks to anyone who has ever felt caught between two worlds, offering both comfort and a call to action, to embrace our histories, to honor our dreams, and to recognize that the quest for identity is a journey we share across time and space. The film's treatment of the diasporic experience is both nuanced and heartfelt. By juxtaposing the exuberant freedom of 1969 Karachi with the more muted, often painful realities of life in Canada, Mirza invites us to reflect on what it means to belong. For Mariam, her early life in Pakistan is a time of hope and rebellion, a period when the weight of tradition was countered by an unyielding desire for change. Yet, as the narrative shifts to the present, we witness how the very traditions that once empowered her have become sources of constraint and regret. This transformation is captured with sensitivity, as the film does not seek to vilify one generation over the other, but rather to illustrate the inevitable evolution of cultural values over time. Azra's journey, meanwhile, is emblematic of the struggles faced by many first-generation children. Raised in a world where the cultural markers of home are both a source of pride and a reminder of what has been lost, she finds herself navigating a complex terrain of expectation and self-expression. Her identity, shaped by the dual forces of her heritage and her desire for personal freedom, is a poignant reminder that the immigrant experience is rarely black and white. Instead, it is a mosaic of memories, sacrifices, and dreams, a tapestry woven from the threads of past and present. Integral to the film's identity is its homage to Bollywood, a celebration of a cinematic tradition that has long been a touchstone for many in the South Asian diaspora. The recurring references to Aradhana and its iconic song Meri Sapno Ki Rani serve as more than just nostalgic callbacks. They are emblematic of a shared cultural memory that transcends borders and generations. In scenes where Azra or Mariam imagine themselves within the glamorous world of Bollywood, we are reminded that cinema has the power to shape our dreams, to offer us a glimpse of a world where love conquers all, and to inspire us to challenge the status quo. This playful intermingling of fantasy and reality is one of the film's most endearing qualities. Whether it is a montage sequence that harks back to the golden age of South Asian cinema, or a quiet moment of introspection where the characters reflect on their own lives, the film uses its visual language to underscore the enduring influence of art on our sense of self. It is a reminder that while the present may be fraught with challenges, the dreams of our youth, those vibrant, unyielding dreams, can still guide us through the darkness. At its core, The Queen of My Dreams is a film about conversations, the unspoken dialogues that take place between a mother and her daughter, between the past and the present, and between tradition and modernity. The film does not offer a clear roadmap for reconciliation, yet it is in its open-endedness that we find its true beauty. Each flashback, each carefully constructed scene, is an invitation to the audience to reflect on their own relationships with their parents, their cultures, and the dreams that have defined their lives. In one particularly resonant sequence, we see Azra grappling with the strict Islamic customs of mourning as she navigates the loss of her father. The rigid rituals, so deeply rooted in tradition, stand in stark contrast to her own evolving sense of identity. It is in this moment of tension that the film speaks most powerfully. It challenges us to consider how we can honor the past while still forging our own paths, how we can find common ground even when the rules seem set in stone. This is not a film that provides answers. Rather, it poses questions that linger long after the credits roll. What makes The Queen of My Dreams truly unique is its insistence on blending the personal with the cultural. The film is as much a diary of a family's history as it is a reflection on the broader immigrant experience. It presents us with a mosaic of moments, each one a snapshot of a life in flux where the struggles of assimilation are balanced by the enduring power of memory. Azra's journey is not merely one of self-discovery, but also an exploration of what it means to belong, to be both a part of a rich cultural heritage and a citizen of a new world. Mariam's story, too, is one of evolution. The younger Mariam, with her rebellious spirit and bold defiance of societal norms, is a stark contrast to the more subdued, resigned figure we meet in the present. Yet, as the film unfolds, it becomes clear that these two versions of Mariam are not so different after all. Both are shaped by the forces of tradition and expectation. Both carry within them the longing for freedom and the burden of sacrifice. It is this shared vulnerability that ultimately brings mother and daughter together, a subtle, poignant reminder that even in our differences, there is an underlying thread of common humanity. Throughout its sprawling narrative, The Queen of My Dreams remains steadfast in its exploration of resilience. The film acknowledges the pain of estrangement and the deep-seated wounds that can arise from feeling misunderstood by those we love the most. Yet, it is equally clear that within that pain lies the possibility for growth, for transformation, and ultimately, for reconciliation. Azra's decision to return to Pakistan, to confront the traditions that once defined her family's life, is an act of courage, a testament to the idea that understanding one's past is an essential step toward healing. In the quiet moments of the film, when the camera lingers on the subtle interplay of light and shadow, we are given a glimpse into the inner lives of its characters. There is a raw honesty in the way Azra processes her grief and confusion, and an almost palpable tenderness in Mariam's attempts to reconcile with the choices of her youth. These moments are not grandiose declarations of triumph, but rather small, intimate revelations, a shared glance, a whispered word that speak volumes about the enduring power of love. In their vulnerability, both characters remind us that life is as much about the scars we bear as it is about the dreams we dare to pursue. At its heart, The Queen of My Dreams is a film about the unspoken bonds that connect us. Bonds forged through shared memories, cultural touchstones, and the simple, profound act of loving one another despite our differences. It challenges the notion that the immigrant experience can be easily categorized or summed up in a neat narrative. Instead, it offers us a rich tapestry of moments, each one a glimpse into the lives of two women trying to find common ground in a world that often seems determined to keep them apart. In one of the film's most powerful sequences, we witness a moment of silent understanding between Azra and Mariam, a recognition that transcends words. It is in these quiet exchanges, these fleeting moments of intimacy, that the film's true emotional depth is revealed. The love between them is not expressed in grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It is found in the everyday acts of care, the shared laughter, and even the mutual pain of loss. This understated portrayal of familial love is both refreshing and deeply moving, offering a counterpoint to the often simplistic narratives of the immigrant experience. While many films set in the diasporic landscape are quick to offer a love letter to immigrant parents, The Queen of My Dreams takes a different approach. It is less about idealizing the past and more about confronting its complexities. The film acknowledges that the traditions and expectations handed down from one generation to the next are often as much a source of pain as they are of pride. The film dares to ask the hard questions. How do we reconcile the past with the present? Can love truly bridge the generational gaps that separate us? And ultimately, is it possible to hold on to our dreams without letting go of the painful memories that define them? While The Queen of My Dreams may not provide all the answers, it succeeds in sparking a conversation, one that resonates with anyone who has ever struggled to find their place in the world. It challenges us to look beyond the surface of cultural stereotypes and to see the humanity that lies beneath. Through its vibrant flashbacks, tender portrayals, and unflinching honesty, the film invites us to consider that the journey towards self-acceptance is not one we must take alone. As we leave the theatre, hearts heavy with the weight of shared grief and hope, we are reminded that every generation carries its own dreams and its own scars. The film's open-ended conclusion is not a call for finality, but rather an invitation to keep the dialogue alive, to continue questioning, learning, and, most importantly, loving. In the interplay of light and shadow, of past and present, The Queen of My Dreams reminds us that the most profound stories are those that capture the imperfect, enduring spirit of being human. Thank you for joining me on this reflective journey through a film that dares to speak the unspoken, to bridge the gaps between tradition and modernity, and to remind us that in every generation there is the power to dream anew. Let us carry forward the lessons of compassion, resilience, and hope, cherishing the memories that shape us, and always remaining open to the possibility of healing and renewal.